What is going on, everybody? So here we are, the final moments of 2024, where we close out the year by having a lit Christmas tree in our living room, and we are just a few short days away from witnessing the Video Game Awards. And there we would be able to listen to our beloved video game dictators tell us on what we should honestly be excited for, on how exactly an independent game works, and what next remaster we need to be just really frothing at the mouth to play. And in my opinion, I just can't wait for the real excitement to begin, and that is what Microsoft has planned to steal the spotlight at the show. Yes, I'm pretty sure there's already people screaming at their phone or whatever device they're listening to my irate voice on, and they're telling me right now, what could Xbox possibly have? And Xbox wasn't at the VGAs last year, so they have a lot to make up for. Well, for starters, let's start with the fact that, yes, the Xbox wasn't at the VGAs last year. Why? Because they were dealing with the circus, the parade, the absolute crap show known as the ABK deal. And yes, they had to sit on their hands. Nobody believed me, but yeah, I tried to warn everybody that it was going to happen. And look, they had to kind of like sit that one out because they knew that there was going to be a lot of problems. But now, Xbox has apparently got a lot of bullets loaded in the chamber, and they're ready to fire off a few rounds at a couple shots at the naysayers and kind of get everybody excited for the Xbox brand running into 2024. And there's honestly a lot to be excited for. And just to get people really wondering what exactly is going to be there, on whether or not Xbox will be there, they let out a post on social media telling everybody to tune into the Game Awards, and they were quoted in saying that there will be important announcements and other Xbox news that you don't want to miss. Now, the VGAs has an absolutely massive audience. It has people tuning in from all over the industry, and I'm not just talking about the gaming media dictators. I'm talking about fans of gaming, whether you're on PC, mobile, Xbox, PlayStation, or Nintendo, or some other offshoot device. The VGAs just happen to capture a large audience attention, and Microsoft will be able to finally show a lot of these players what they've been cooking up with all the Activision Blizzard deals and all the first-party studio creations, and even maybe some hardware that they're cooking up for us. And what's really going to be absolutely amazing is that this is all going to lead up to the show that they are going to have in January, because hey, if you guys didn't know this, they piggybacked this year off of the ZeniMax Direct. It's an event that takes place every January. It's been happening for years. I've been watching it. It's how I've been actually keeping up with Elder Scrolls Online and everything Elder Scrolls in between. And this year, Microsoft decided to piggyback on top of that and had their own developer direct before the ZeniMax Direct. And so we all know that no matter what is shown at the Video Game Awards, this is going to be just part one. Part two is going to be in January. Receipt this down. Clip it. Just watch. Now, of course, Microsoft is going to be talking about Game Pass and the future plans that they have for the service and games that are going to go into the service. And at this point, it's at anybody's guess on exactly what they can put into that service. We all know from the leaked emails that came out during the FTC and the whole CMA thing with the ABK deal that Xbox was exploring a whole plethora of different games and publishers to be able to put content into Game Pass. But there's also some titles that are already supposed to be there that were delayed. We're talking like Hollow Knight 2 Silksong and, of course, Stalker 2. But now there's this big rumor coming out about a game that everybody's been really clamoring for, and that's Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3 is supposed to make an announcement at the Game Awards about its actual release date on the Xbox platform. It's supposed to take place in December, but they haven't exactly announced that date yet. But it also appears that there's also going to be a physical release now for that game on Xbox. And so there's a lot to be excited about Baldur's Gate 3 already. But now it appears that there's this myth rumor going around that it could potentially end up in Game Pass. I really don't want to put a whole lot of money on that bet, but I also could say there might be a slight inkling of a chance. let's just look at the facts. Microsoft was already looking at wanting to put Baldur's Gate 3 in Game Pass. We know from the leaked emails that they estimated that it would cost about $5 million for them to pay for it to be put into Game Pass. But now Baldur's Gate 3 has seen a large amount of success, so maybe that price tag has changed. But what is also going to affect Baldur's Gate 3's success is the fact it's already seen a PC launch and it's already seen a PlayStation launch. The game has been seen on very major platforms, and for those that were already frothing at the mouth to play it, they're already playing it. The holdouts that were on the Xbox platform, like me, I have not played it. I've been waiting patiently for it on Xbox. Now it comes down to, does the developers for Baldur's Gate 3, Larian Studios, feel that they will be able to capture a lot more revenue by putting it on Xbox for sale? Or do they feel that the check that Microsoft could cut them would be more money than they would make trying to sell it on Xbox? Maybe the pre-orders of the physical edition of Baldur's Gate 3 for Xbox are going to be a big indicator of whether or not Larian Studios should take that check. But moving on to some first-party stuff, we all know from other leaked documents during the whole ABK debacle that Bethesda also has some stuff in the works too. Obviously, we have the Indiana Jones, Elder Scrolls 6, but there's also some other games that were kind of mentioned in one of the documents, like we're talking Doom Year Zero, so there could potentially be another Doom game that's coming out. There's also something referred to as Project Kestrel, and this Project Kestrel sounds like it's an MMO because there's also supposed to be an expansion coming out for it. And we also know that ZeniMax has been really ramping up developers to work on another MMO other than Fallout 76 and Elder Scrolls Online. So I'm really interested on what that's going to be. But there's also another one referred to as Project Platinum. And there's also another one in here that's just labeled as licensed IP game. So there's definitely a lot to be excited for the Bethesda brand alone. But there's other first-party studio games that we would just love more information and possibly gameplay or even a teased date of when we can play them. We're talking games like Hellblade 2, Avowed, State of Decay 3, Perfect Dark, Fable, and this is just a small amount of games that we know that Xbox is working on behind the scenes. But there's also rumors now that apparently we're going to potentially get some Gears news. But does that mean we're going to see a teaser or even just some talking about Gears of War 6? Or could we finally see what has been referred to as the Marcus Phoenix collection, which is obviously going to be some remasters of the original Gears of War games? But what's really going to be special about that collection is its appeal to PC players. There hasn't been a lot of access to for the PC community for the Gears of War games, because over on the Xbox side, especially through the Xbox Series X and the whole backwards compatibility and all the implementations that they've put into backwards compatibility, you can already play the Gears of War games, the originals, at like 60 frames a second, 4K, all that fun stuff we all love. But PC has not really had access to some of those improvements, and the Marcus Phoenix collection is going to definitely be an avenue for them to have access to those particular enhancements for the games. But there's also the exclusive games that we would love to know more about that seem to be hyped very recently, and that is Clockwork Revolution. Wouldn't we love to be able to see finally some gameplay of this game that reminds us of like BioShock vibes? I mean, I am totally excited for this game, and I would just love to know more about it. But that leads us to, and we can't forget, Activision Blizzard. There is a lot of stuff coming out of Activision Blizzard on woulda, coulda, shoulda, what could happen with the purchase that Microsoft has made. There's going to be a lot of autonomy now when it comes to what Activision Blizzard can do. Hopefully they stop getting in love with all the microtransaction BS that they've been really pushing in a lot of their games. But let's also face it, there is a lot of IP there that we would just love to see for some resurgence. I've just recently picked up like Transformers, Fall of Cybertron, War for Cybertron, Transformers, The Dark Spark. There's a lot of Transformers games that have been pretty much essentially delisted that are under the Activision banner. It'd be great if Microsoft could actually finally resurrect those games and make them available again for purchase. Hasbro has even showed interest in wanting to get those games back onto the market for people to purchase. And also titles like Deadpool. That's another one I just picked up. That game is funny as hell. And definitely a little bit of comic gold when it comes to what Marvel games could possibly be on an adult-oriented situation. And that's yet another game that's been delisted because it's just fallen to the wayside by Activision just being totally hyper-focused on Call of Duty. Now, we could potentially also see a repeat of video game awards of the past, and we're talking about when Phil Spencer came out on the stage and revealed the Xbox Series X. And everybody got hyped. I mean, that was like a mic drop moment. Like, he might as well just showed the console and just threw that mic on the stage, walked away, and I mean, that would have just spoke fathoms. So we are now going to potentially see the refresh of the Xbox Series X. Now, that I wouldn't be honest with you guys if I didn't told you the absolute truth. I'm not too sure about how I feel about this one. I just mentioned I have a lot of games I just recently purchased on disc. I'm not a big fan of all digital systems. I always believe that people should have the option of putting a disc in a machine, and putting a disc drive in a machine is not that much more expensive on a manufacturing level. I just hope they offer a standalone edition of the disc drive, kind of like what PlayStation is doing. And that's because the Xbox Series X revamp is all digital. Now, they are adding some newer stuff to this whole thing. It looks like it's going to have the updated Xbox wireless controller technology, which they're referring to as Xbox Wireless 2. And there's also going to now be Bluetooth capabilities in the console, and they are also going to start implementing a faster Wi-Fi known as Wi-Fi 6, and they are also putting a USB-C cable on the front of that console. So I'm really hoping with the addition of the USB-C that we might be able to see the addition of one of these external drives. But that being said, from one of the other leaked documents that were in the whole ABK deal leak, there is also rumors that eventually we're going to see this revised version of the Xbox Series X end up in the Xbox Design Labs. Don't quote me on that. It's here. I will DM you the photo of it. But yes, there is a thing in here where it shows the Xbox Series X Brooklyn next to the Xbox Series X in Xbox Design Labs, and it's referred to as Project Uther. So there is potential that we might be able to just start building our own custom consoles rather than waiting for them to be kind of like dished out to us very rarely. Now, of course, with a console revamp, you're also going to have a controller revamp. So that also could be yet another piece of hardware that gets shown at the Video Game Awards, and that is with the new Xbox controller. Again, the improved Bluetooth. What's really going to be absolutely awesome about this controller, though, is we've seen Phil Spencer talk in the past about the PlayStation's DualSense controller and liking the haptic feedback feature of the DualSense. This new controller is going to use haptic feedback, and with that, you're going to have like these little speakers that go into it that really help immerse yourself when it comes to the controller. So not only will you be able to feel the gunfire, but you'll also be able to hear the gunfire. And I really do think that's going to be a really fun addition. God, I hate living next to a busy street. It's an absolutely grand time. Now, one feature of the new controller has me kind of like, all right, and they're putting an accelerometer into the controller. Yes, that's going to be an absolute fun feature if it's implemented in games, but the one feature that they're touting is pick up to on. You can get this controller set it up to where the minute you lift it off of the countertop, it can turn on and potentially turn on your console. I'm going to be up front. I have ADD and I leave my controller laying around on the table sometimes, and I'll just pick it up to move it over. and I don't want it to kick my console on when all I'm trying to do is put the controller away so my wife doesn't kill me for leaving them all over the place because we all have a million of them. But with the improvements to the new controller, we will also start seeing interchangeable battery packs, which will be rechargeable. So it does look like Xbox is going to stop throwing those good old-fashioned Duracell looking batteries in the box for us to stick into the controller. But they did make one smart move though. They are still making it to where you can put batteries in the battery compartment if you so choose to. But Microsoft has even touted in a lot of documents recently that they are trying to adopt a more sustainable direction for the Xbox brand. And this definitely looks like that they are going into that direction, with now pretty much getting on board with always putting a rechargeable battery in every controller they make. But I do like the fact, though, that they are not just cornering you into these proprietary battery packs and that you can still put normal batteries inside them. But there also could possibly be just other hardware we are completely not ready for or not have very much information on at all. In the more of the leaked documents, we saw that Xbox was working on cloud devices and also handheld devices. That would be an absolute like bombshell if by some chance Xbox felt compelled to get into the handheld market. But I really don't know, because I mean the market is getting pretty crowded as it is for handhelds now with the Asus or whatever it is and the Steam Deck. I just don't feel that maybe Microsoft should do that at this point. But it also does look like Microsoft is getting into the high-end PC stuff and also wanting to do some PC accessories. So, I mean, literally, Microsoft could be all over the place at this Video Games Awards with the hardware that they could potentially show, the games they could potentially show, the Game Pass subscription hype that they could potentially show. There's a lot of potential moments that Microsoft can use to really take the reins, steal the spotlight, and really get some good positive focus on the brand for the fans, and potentially make some of these zealots, media fanboy dictators, and other naysayers that just really wish the Xbox brand would stop getting all this hype. And just, I hope Xbox does everything they possibly can to make them completely uncomfortable. Well, there you have it, everybody. This was a little bit of a long one for me, but I wanted to cover all my bases and inform you on what you could potentially see over at the Video Game Awards. And like I just want to remind you again, this is just going to be a part one. We are definitely going to be hyped up for what they are going to show in January. So buckle up, everybody, get ready, and we are going to have some fun, because 2024 is going to be a big one for the Xbox brand. To keep up with it all, please stay tuned, like, subscribe, comment down below, do everything you possibly can to stimulate the algorithm and help my channel grow. And as always, everybody, please remember on the end card of this video, watch my latest video, check out my playlists, and always remember to just play the game you prefer on the platform you prefer, no matter what anybody says. I am Centurion 1307, and thank you for watching.